Hello folks, welcome back to my latest video. As you can see, I'm doing the Tyrrell Honda by Tamiya. Just unboxing. As you can see, I've already took a few parts off the sprues. Now this is a very old kit. It's from the 1990s. It was the car that Tyrrell were hoping would bring them back to the forefront in Formula 1. They'd had a brilliant season the year before with the new design of the adhedral nose and the driver Alesi, and with McLaren now using the V12 engine, Honda had gone over to Tyrrell and offered Satoru Nakajima and a supply of the V10 engines that had been in the back of the McLaren. There we are, here's all the kit, the parts. Still a nice kit, but the problem was all the decals were absolutely fried, and the good old-fashioned fold-out Tamiya instruction pamphlets. You can see by the discoloration of the booklet there, you can tell how old it is. Right, I decided to follow what everyone else seems to do on model making YouTube and cut everything off the sprues as much as I can and get prepared in advance using my trusty old Mr. Hobby sprue cutters. Some parts don't want to come off, and as you can see, I've got a few cuts on my hands there. Fortunately, I'd had a bit of an argument cooking. Everything in spots. X18 means that stuff's going to be painted in semi-gloss black. And it does seem to work. It is a better way of doing things. There's the driver's seat with the belts moulded in. Now you'll have to forgive me because I've filmed all this using an old iPhone. I decided I'd give that a try, and it does seem to give better shots in some ways and not in others. I can get in a lot closer with this. Maybe at some point I'll win the lottery and be able to go out and buy specific cameras for specific shots, but that's just pure fantasy, folks. Anyway, I hope you're all well, and it's nice to have you along for the videos. This is one of the longest videos I've ever made. It's going to be quite in depth. So at points I am going to stop yapping and just let the video run for itself. There's parts of the engine covers for the out of the transmission on the back. As you can see, I've got a great big massive gash in my hand there. That was a burn from cooking. Off comes the steering wheel, and you can see there's just two buttons on the top of the centre section of the steering wheel, because when this car was racing in Formula 1, they only needed two buttons, the radio and something else. Right, now this is where I'm going to use a different paint to normal. Some rapid thinners there, and I'm going to be using Gaia paints, silver. Now, first time I've used them, and wow, these paints are fantastic. The finish they give, not seen anything like it. I mean, Mr. Hobby paints are good. Tamiya is the go-to for just about everybody, but I ordered these from America. I can't remember who it was. Oh, Robert Coy. Now, I thought I'd get stung for import duties. No, I didn't. In fact, when I've got some spare cash again, I will be ordering some more of these paints from Robert Coy. Right, come on Dave, stop mucking about, sunshine. Now what I've done is they've gone into a spare jar, an empty jar, and I've put them onto a paint mixer that I've got, mixed it up, and into my airbrush, the Apex from Ultimate Modelling Products. I still use that. Now there's the trumpets for the air intake valves, and well, I couldn't say if it was silver or chrome. It was nice bright silver, absolutely beautiful, really great colours, great paints. Just look at that. It's just that extra level above Tamiya. Not knocking Tamiya paints. The good thing about Tamiya paints is they are very, very good and very available now. Here we are. This isn't a crown paint or anything, this is just plain silver. But my god, what a beautiful... On video it doesn't do it any justice. In real life that colour is so beautiful, even when it dries off. I just remember painting this thinking, no, this can't be right. That silver is absolutely fantastic. And really, really impressed with Gaia paints. I can see what all the fuss is about, to be honest. Just doing a little oil cooler. I think that's the oil cooler on the Honda engine, and I just nipped into the gear knob on the top, because that's the shifter linkage that goes into the cockpit. But yeah, when you try new paints and the effects are fantastic, it's like reminds you of why you're in the hobby. Yeah, and the radiators. I did them silver because, well, I remember back in the day seeing the McLaren being worked on, and McLaren used calsonic radiators, and they were always chrome silver. So I thought, well, I've got some of this paint left over. Let's not let it go to waste. Let's do the rads in silver. There you go. Those are done. Happy days. Just a bit more, get it final coating. Job's a good one. Now, Gaia Ultimate White. Now, the vast majority of colours on this car was done in gunmetal grey from Zero Paints, but for some reason, white paint, I always struggle with whites. I can never find a good one to brush. It might be my technique, it might just be a general issue with white paints, model making paints. I couldn't tell you. I just know that whenever I brush white paint, it always goes lumpy or milky. But there we are, we're using the airbrush, and it's going to be the front wing end plates and the front wings, the adjustable part, not the main plane. So that's been thinned with Mr. Hobby thinners, the one thinner with the retarder. Now that's just a very thin coat, and straight away I thought, this stuff is going down great. Seems to have, this Gaia paint has got fantastic coverage qualities. It's just like, I'll follow what most people say to do. A nice steady first coat, thin coat, let it dry off. Let it sit for a little while, then come back. Did the job. As you saw in adverts years ago, it does exactly what it says on the tin. and it really was an ultimate white. I mean, look at that. That's just the second coat, and already it's looking more or less done. Just trying to get the back and the front of the wing sections, then back onto the end plates again. Just stuck them onto a tongue depressor. You can buy them off Amazon. Some double-sided tape, hold them in place. And then we're back onto the wings. And all I was doing, blow over with the air off the compressor, then back on with the paint. I suppose it's a forced way of curing the paint, but hey, everybody else on the YouTube, the model making, seems to do it, so if it works for them, it can work for me. What does it your mates always say when you just go out on a Saturday night? Try it, you might like it. Luckily for me, it was always some form of alcohol and nothing else. And I wasn't daft enough to do anything other than go out and get drunk. But there we are. The white was lovely, done. Right, here we are. The front section where the driver sits. We've undercoated in Mr. Primer, Mr. Surface of 1500. Thinned again with Mr. Hobby thinner with retarder. Gave that 24 hours to go off. Now with this model, you have to put the driver's seat in, and before you put the two sections together, you cannot put the seat in afterwards. I learnt this the hard way because I had to go out and buy another kit. And thankfully I got one really cheap from Japan, and it came very quickly. But as you can see, we are using Zero Paint's Braun Tyrrell gunmetal grey. Just gently building up the layers, not going too hard, not going too heavy. Take it away, let it flash. There's the pot in front, in the back of the spray booth. Now again, a lot of people do have issues with Zero Paints. They say it's too hot and it crazes. Never happened to me using the primers I use, the Surface 1500. I think it's just people using different primers. It tends to be the Stynylrez, that type. I think it reacts to that. But using the I've yet to use Surface 1500 and have it react with any paints. It's never been an issue. There we are. Shutter paint goes in. Now another reason why I use Zero Paints is it's a British company. Call me a bit of a nationalistic, but if you don't look after your nation's industries and service providers, you know, you try and use your local or national suppliers where possible. I know I get the kits from Japan. It's the best place to get them from, because in the UK or Europe, people want a silly money for these old kits. So I'd rather deal with Japan than get screwed for trying to buy something from even an individual in the EU, Europe, who's charging 3 times more. It's simple mathematics and economics. But where I can, I'll use my local model shop or a UK supplier. If it's like the Zero Paints made in the UK, great, I'll do that. I've also used Pro Scale paints. The next kit I'll be doing I'll probably be using Pro Scale paints British Racing Green. It'll be the first time I've used that. I've got a few of their paints for some more kits I'm going to be making in the future. But these are the sections that sit on the rear, on the side of the engine block, to deflect the air down towards the rear spoiler on the lower section of the car. The engine cover, the engine cowl, again done in grey primer. Mr. Surface of 1500 again. But you have to excuse me if the camera keeps wobbling. It's on a mount that I've got strapped to my desk, and unfortunately my arm keeps catching it. So if you feel a bit seasick, you can blame me. But yeah, just building up that first layer. That's using the Tamiya stand. As you can see, what I've done is where you put a car body on longitudinally, I've put that across. Seems to work that way well for Formula 1 engine cowls. And with my phone in that position, it's gives you a POV kind of sensation. But if you put your first bit of paint on, it just like you get a shine, then the colour starts to come through a bit more. But every time I reload my brush, I give the bottle a bit of a shake, make sure the contents get moved around with metallics, gunmetal, anything like that. There's got to be a level of metallic content in it, so try and keep everything even and well mixed. I gotta admit, I do enjoy this part. It's just the 2K bit where I need to improve on my decals, but using these aftermarket decals, they seem to vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. But as you can see, I've jumped forward a bit now. This is probably about my third or fourth coat. It's just building up a nice colour, trying to keep everything uniform. Also, this will be a little bit of a wetter coat to try and get that overall nice consistent layer. Like I say, I don't know why zero paints have got such a bad reputation with some of the model making community. I've had no problem with them. In fact, the vast majority of my paints are zero paints. In fact, when I went to France last time, I brought some kits from Bell Kits. When I visited, what's that? Domino Models. I brought some Bell Kits from there, the Hyundai rally car and the Citroen, driven by the late great Craig Breen. And as soon as I got back, I ordered the paints from there. I did look at pro scale models, pro scale paints, but it's 3 colours on a lot of these cars. They only seem to offer 2. Then I opened the kits and I saw the decal set, so. But I know where I stand with zero paints, and I'm quite happy using them. At some points as well, I'll probably change my airbrush, but I've had no problems with the Ultimate Apex. This is a 0.3mm needle. I'd love to try something a bit narrower. I have a 0.5mm. That's the Sparmax Tamiya one. I tend to just use that for clear coats, but you can get away with it with the 0.3 Apex. There we are, that's done. Thumbs up. Put that away, leave it to dry. To the mirrors. Now, because it's such a small part, you've got to watch how much paint you put down, because you can actually flood these. But quite literally, in a bulldog clip type thing, and about 10 seconds on each one, job's done. Now, what piece is that? Oh yeah, that's the air deflector. Sits just in front of the driver. Again, double-sided tape stuck to a tongue depressor. There you are. Sweet as a nut, job done. Only problem is I put so much double-sided tape on that my finger stuck to it. And the nose cone last couple of coats for the nose cone. Now the problem with this part was where I was going to put the clip on. I put it low down underneath at the back where, let's face it, you're not going to look. So if anybody gets hold of that kit and holds it upside down, there's going to be a little patch of moulded gunmetal grey, not painted. That's the secret between me and you and everybody else on the internet. Just keep spinning around, making sure I haven't missed any parts. Now, this Tyrrell was the second one with the raised nose cone, designed by Dr. Harvey Postlethwaite, which allowed more air to pass under the nose to the rear of the car and round, helping downforce. And there's the picture on the front of the paints. Now, unfortunately, they'd had a fantastic season the year before with John Alesi. Alesi had left. Originally was going to go to Williams, so the year's 1991, but Mansell had retired, threatened to never return to Formula 1 with the issues he'd had at Ferrari with Alain Prost. And, well, Williams jumped in, and with the Ram engine, the car was going to be a championship contender. That meant that Alesi went to Ferrari, and Tyrrell looking for a driver to get the Honda engine that assigned Tsuru Nakajima, who also brought along sponsorship with Epson. Always well supported. Also Calby. He always brought plenty of sponsorship everywhere he went to Tsuru Nakajima. But they also signed Stefano Modena, an Italian driver who shone in the lower categories, but somehow when he got to Formula 1 he never hit the mark. He had a couple of good drives in this car. From Rice, he qualified in the top 4 positions at Monte Carlo, but the biggest downfall for this car was Pirelli tyres. They could never compete with the Goodyear tyres. And as you can see, I've got the sponsorship decals on. I've done the nose, I've done the rear cowling and the rear spoiler. Now, I had to coat the rear spoiler in Tamiya semi-gloss clear, and everything else was in 2K gloss. We're back at the spray booth. A little bit of the semi-gloss. This is Tamiya's own semi-gloss clear. I thought I'd give that a try for once. But If there's one thing I hate doing on Formula 1 cars, it's the wings, front and rear. And I built this off camera because, trust me, if I had, and I'd had the audio one, it would have been banned. It had me swearing like a trooper. In fact, I'd have probably made a trooper blush, but we got it done in the end, got the decals on it, and there we are. LP24 semi-gloss clear, parts of the lacquer range. Did the job. Just get a blast of air. Now I have a downside, I cannot stop shaking when I'm trying to do intricate work. I've always been very nervous, so I was bullied a lot at school as a kid. I think that's caused me to be like this, but I always keep thinking I'm going to make a pig's ear of everything. Then you start doing bits and the shakes disappear. But those brawn transfers are a bit of a swine to do. The newer ones on their Studio 27 decals, I use some of the older kit ones because I had to cut some decals in situ, the ones for the big brawn on the side of the car. I'd never done it before, and I was sure I was going to make a complete hash of it. But I did what I've been watching a few Japanese channels and put subtitles on and did exactly what they said, and it worked. Nice sharp blade. There we are. We are on to the 2K. As you can see, I've cut the brawn decal. So we are using it again, the Ultimate Apex. Now a lot of people say to use a 0.5. I just couldn't be bothered getting the one out of my drawer, to be honest. So I'll clean that one out and mixed up a batch of 2K. And follow the instructions. First coat is always a nice light coat, what they call a tack coat. There we are. That's been put into a box. Now we're on to the front section, the survival cell. Same with this. You can see the front half of the brawn decal. Got a nice tack coat down, and as soon as it's done, away, put in the box, lid on it, then onto the nose cone. Now I will say, I'm still learning this hobby, having returned to it after years away. Am I getting better? Well, I think I am. Am I brilliant? No. I see a lot of people online that I'm quite envious of. Paul, who runs Pro Scale Paints, he's one. I see a lot of his car models and I'm thinking, God, I wish I could be half as good as that. But here we are, it's 2K onto the white, it was already gloss white being the Gaia paints, but try and keep everything consistent. This is layer 2, coat 2. Coming for a semi-wet coat. You can see you start building the shine up. You can also see there's a fair bit of paper in there. Now I've got some down on the base of the spray booth. It's been wetted to try and catch some dust. Now unfortunately there's a lot of working going on around by where I live, and you have to have the window open to vent out the fumes, because 2K fumes are not the best for you. I've always got a respirator mask on. As you can see, I've got my fingers are covered. I've got nitrile gloves on. The fan's on nearest time full. In fact, you can see the fumes going out towards the filter. I'm putting the wet coat on now. I'm really, I wouldn't say hosing it on, but I'm putting a damn good layer down. Try and get a nice wet coat. There you go, you can see it shiny. You can see a few, unfortunately some dust spots in there. Well, quite a few dust spots in there. Always gives us something to try and improve next time round. The driver's section, the survival cell as some people call it. With the air intake above the driver's head. Yeah, this is probably definitely the last coat I'll put down on these parts. Then I went to some really useful boxes. That's the manufacturer, by the way, not just a name for them. Lid on the top, and those are left for 4 to 5 days for the 2K to cure fully. The nose cone. When you look at the sponsor, Ken Tyrrell, this was probably his one of his best chances to get back into the top echelon. Just let down by the Pirelli tyres. I mean, I don't think much of the Pirelli tyres in Formula 1 today, to be honest, but compared to the Goodyears at the time, they were like chewing gum. They just wore out in no time. Great qualifying tyre. But for race distance, they just couldn't cut it with against the Goodyears that were at the time made in Wolverhampton, my hometown. There we go, all done. Wings and end plates, last good thick coating of 2K. And yes, at the moment I'm still using the 2K from Zero Paints. There we are, all done. Those go in a box, leave them, and now we've got to start building the engine and the rear suspension. Make sure the lower suspension is glued in properly. There you are, main block. That'll be done. Put the rear rain lights on. I hadn't painted it. I should have painted that in advance, but I hadn't. That is now done. continuing on the engine, and it's like a transmission cover we're going to be putting on now, and the upper suspension. Like I said, you have to forgive me, it's the first time I've tried using my iPhone for doing these videos. Oh, sorry, we got the side sections on as well for the engine cover. Get the suspension parts in place. Drive shafts. These are all sprayed in advance. Those are in X18. There's a hell of a lot of parts in this model in X18 semi-gloss black. I'll be honest, I think it's LP5, the Tamiya lacquer paints. That's what I use on this. I'll do a lot of those lacquer paints for airbrushing, and for the brush painting I either use the Tamiya acrylics, or I've got a couple of the Tamiya enamels. They're good, but in the UK it's very hard to get things like the enamel thinners. Last time I had a trip to the continent, so I got some from Domino Models. Didn't like that shop. Wish there was something like it in the UK. If it was close to the Midlands, it'd be even better for me. That's just me being greedy for once. So, drive shafts going in. I needed to zoom out a bit more for that. I was trying to be getting close. Well, drive shafts in. I've started using the old-fashioned paints, the glue, sorry. I tried the super glues, but the Bob Smith Industries, I admit they are good, but they go off too quick. Being a caregiver, I don't have time to get through a tube in a week and a half making multiple models. I'll go and do a model, do a bit. It takes me 2 or 3 weeks to do a model. And that's if I have a good blast at it, because I'm always busy tidying, cleaning or cooking. But here we are, we're now building the top half of the engine. I wish I could say what I knew what that is. It looks to me like some kind of injectors, because I know on the V10 engine that Honda built, they had variable inlets. There you go. Here's the upper half of the rear wishbones. Now you have to get that into a specific place, because it clipped into the lower, like a male and female fitting. Took me a couple of attempts. Come on, Dave, you can do it, mate. Come on. You got it, son. You got it. Happy days. So there we are. That's the lower and upper wishbones in. What's going on next? If I remember right, this is the cover. Yeah, there we are. That's a cover that mimics the transmission cover. And if I remember right, on the Tyrrell it was the longitudinal gearbox. McLaren had a transverse unit the year before. The one that caused... I think they had it for a couple of years at McLaren, because I remember Senna spinning out of the Grand Prix at Silverstone. Would it be 89, 90? I know I was there that year. I think it was 1989. He caught a wrong gear and spun off. Senna did. But here we are. We are now on to the valve trumpets. Bit of Tamiya extra thin. I'm more fingers and thumbs at times. I'm a bit of a ham-fisted muddler, for want of a better way of putting it. There you are. I'm going to see about now. Just get into place, please, and stop messing about. But not quite as politely as that. But yeah, I was quite pleased with that. That silver really stands out. Now I've jumped forward a bit here. I've put the uprights in for the wheels, and in goes the exhausts. I haven't tried to do any bluing or any weathering on the exhausts, partly because I was so impressed with the silver. That Gaia notes paint really impressed me. Now remember, I was trying to work out, okay, whereabouts does the exhaust actually go out of? Scratching me, and then all of a sudden, right, that's how it goes. That goes there, that goes there. Drop a glue there, job's done. As you can see, the silhouette, everything is narrow, tight, so you can get the aerodynamics as efficient as possible. I'd hate to think what the modern day Formula 1 cars are like with their engine installations. That's one bank of exhausts on. Sweet, I'm happy with that. Thumbs up. Jump to the point now where we're fitting the engine to the chassis. Again, using the old-fashioned glue. That's Revell contactor. There is the Renault V10 engine. In place and good to go. Front wings. If there's one thing I hate as much as building the rear wing, it's building the front wings. Now on this one, the end plates were not a problem, but putting the actual planes of the wing on that was a bit of a nightmare. I had to stop and think then, so as not to swear. Just make sure I've got the right end plate for the right hand side. Using the old-fashioned polystyrene cement because it gives you a bit more time to work it. Okay, it means you've got to wait a bit longer for it to actually set, but gives you that little bit of extra time. Struggling with my fat fingers as normal. Seem to go on dead easy. I'll take it from me. It didn't last like that for long. I did have a bit of a fight with the natural dive planes of the wing. Front suspension going on. The upper and lower wishbones were united to become one unit. There was a section I should have pushed through first that I didn't. I had to take these back out to put another upright in. But the funny thing is, I'd watched a video of a really good model maker in Japan who'd done this model, and he made the same mistake. But here we are. As you can see, the front half's now built. Putting the old-fashioned glue down. We are now about to mount the driving section, the survival self, for want of a better way of putting it, in the front wing onto the chassis and marry it to the engine. We are getting closer and closer to being a finished model. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that engine, how it looks. There we are. That silver really shines in there, unlike some of the silvers used in the past. Now, I've sped this bit up because I didn't want to muck about. Trying to get these radiators in, they were a absolute pig. Sorted it in the end, got there. Now it's getting the wheels and the brakes on. And these didn't want to stay. It's the latest screw-in type. You got a funny little plastic thing to get the screws in, when my chunky fingers did not like it, and what you see here in a few seconds took about 10 minutes in the end. But now they've got them attached in the end. Air intake, rear cowling on. Smudge glue. The rear spoiler goes on. There we are. The finished thing. Now the problem was, you're supposed to have Pirelli markings on the tyres. They were toasted. They were no good. But yeah, I'm quite happy. I wouldn't say I'm 100% happy with it, but it ain't bad. Not bad model at all. Really enjoyed making the kit, and yeah, anyway, there's the box it come in, and there's what's left over of the Studio 27 decals, and it's away in storage to come out another day. Cheers folks, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the near future. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.